what you're going to do is we want to, in the first part, if I want to find equilibrium output. So let's start with A1. So we know equilibrium output is given by y is equal to z. So this is the goods market equilibrium condition where we know y represents output or income and z represents demand. Where we know demand z is made up of c plus I plus g plus nx. So the idea is that we first need the demand function z, because once you have the demand function z, we can just equate it to output or income and then solve for y for the equilibrium value. So we first need demand function z. So in this case, demand function z. In this case, t is given to us as 100, so we have lump sum Texas, so we're given that in the question. And then c becomes 100 plus 0.6 times yd. Yd is disposable income, which is income minus taxes. This becomes 100 plus 0.6 y minus t. Now I know t is 100, I can just plug that here. 100 plus 0.6 y minus 100. And then, we can write this as, if we simplify this, if we open this up, this simplifies to 40 plus 0.65. So it's 100 minus 0.65 plus 0.65. So you simplified our consumption function here. Then I is 50. That's given to us in the question. G is 250 again given in the question. And NX is 0 because it's a closed economy as mentioned. Closed economy. Right, so this is all the components we have for our demand function Z. So now, so Z is given to us as 40 plus 0.6y plus 50 plus 250, right? This is Z, where the first component is consumption that we found, the second is I, and the third is G. Right, so if I further simplify this a bit, so then this just becomes 40 plus 50 plus 250 will just become 340 plus 0.65. Now over here, this term 340 is what we call autonomous spending. Okay, so let me try this here. So we have our demand function Z now, and this term is autonomous spending. Now, what is autonomous spending? It's part of demand that does not depend upon income. Part of demand that does not depend upon Y. As you can see, it's independent of Y. That does not depend upon Y. In other words, demand when Y is 0. Because you see, if we plug in Y 0, demand is 340. In other words, demand when Y is 0. So this is what we call autonomous spending. So now that we have our demand function Z, so thus now we have a demand function Z, so equilibrium Y is given as, where we know Y is equal to Z, that's the goods market equilibrium condition. We have found this demand function Z. I'll just plug this here, 340 plus 0.6y. And then what you can do is, from here, then you can just make y the subject. Y minus 0.6y is 340. So this becomes 0.4y is 340. And then from here, you can solve for y star is 340 divided by 0.4 is 850. So we're done part 1, where we found equilibrium output. Let's clear all this up and let's do the second part. The second part asks us to find the equilibrium value disposable income. Now we know disposable income is income minus taxes, and taxes are given to us as lump sum 100, so it's y minus 100. So equilibrium value of disposable income would be when we plug in the equilibrium value of y, right? Because this value disposable income depends upon what value y takes. Whereas if we plug in the equilibrium value y, we'll get the equilibrium value of disposable income. So it's y star minus 100, and we just found this in part 1 that this is 850 minus 100. So equilibrium value of disposable income is 750. So now let's find equilibrium value of consumption. Now we know if we simplified C and wrote it in terms of Y. So we know C is 40 plus 0.6Y. We simplified this in part 1 and wrote it in terms of Y from A1, right? So C star is 40 plus 0.6. Again, if I put an equilibrium value y, we'll get the value C star. So it's 40 plus 0.6, 850 is equal to 550. Now, alternatively, we could have also done, we could have used unsimplified form of C, which was that it's 100 plus 0.6 YD given in question, right? So this is given in the question. You could have used this also alternatively, right? We used the form that we simplified by plugging in T, and instead of writing disposable income, writing terms of income, but we could have used the form given directly in the question also, right? So C star would be 100 plus 0.6 Y star D. So equilibrium value disposable income. We know this would be 100 plus 0.6 times the equilibrium value we found 750, and this would give us the same answer 550. Yeah, so we're done with the value C. Now I want to find private savings and public savings. Now let's do part 4. Now we know, okay, let's just do so let's do part 4 now. So part 4 is about private savings. Now we know private savings are the value of disposable income minus consumption, right? Because private savings represent disposable income which is not consumed, right? So it's disposable income minus consumption. Disposable income which is not consumed. So we know the equilibrium value private savings would be, you can just plug in the equilibrium value disposable income minus equilibrium value consumption. Equilibrium value disposable income we just found in the second part, which was 750. Equilibrium value consumption we found in the third part, which was 550. So private savings is just 200. In the next part, we want to find public savings. So we know, public savings is just T minus G. It's taxes minus government spending. Now taxes is given to us as 100 lump sum and G is given to us as exogenously as 250. So public savings is just simply 150. You can see public savings does not even depend upon Y in this case, right? Does not depend upon Y in this case. Right? Public spendings don't even depend upon Y in this case. Right, so this is a minus 150, 100 minus 250 minus 150. So regardless of, so it's always going, so public savings is always 150 regardless of whether you have equilibrium or not. So the equilibrium value, is minus 150. So the equilibrium value is also minus 150, right? Because taxes are lump sum, G is exogenous, so public spending is always going to be minus 150, so it's also minus 150 in equilibrium. So this is how we found all these values in equilibrium.